That Man on Fatman is brought to you by Death Wish Coffee. Death Wish Coffee, the strongest coffee in the world. That Man on Fatman is also sponsored by Audible. Check out Audible over at audibletrials.com/thatmanonfatman. That Man on Fatman is now hosted on Podbean, so find us over at thatmanonfatman.podbean.com. And we here over at That Man on Fatman always feel a debt of gratitude to our buddy Chunder Tunes. So go check out his animation for all your podcast animation needs over at chundertunes.com. That Man on Fatman is available on most social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, or you can go over to our links. We're on the Podbean site at thatmanonfatman.podbean.com. There's all kinds of links there to all our other resources as well. So check that out.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and I want to urge you to make a generous donation to the Wayne Foundation so we can stop the sexual trafficking of children. Do it, or I'll find you.
That Man on Fatman is recorded with a Zoom H6 handy recorder. Zoom for creators.
Disclaimer. The show you're about to experience is for entertainment purposes only. The hosts use mature language and conversation just like in most of life. If you're too uptight, this might not be for you. All that said, we really do hope you enjoy the show. But if you don't enjoy it, expect a nice big shipment of my joyous Joker juice on your doorstep in the very near future. Toodles!
Yes, please note that use of all sound effects is done ironically.
Ooh-ah. You are listening to That Man on Fatman with Scott and Jeanne Holden, and they, trust me, have a great ass.
As the world's biggest Kevin Smith fan, I appreciate the fact that somebody finally made a podcast about that interesting motherfucker.
Yeah.
So yes, you absolutely did the right thing.
Okay. What has two thumbs and is a huge fan of Kevin Smith?
Yeah.
That Man!
Scott, who does That Man on Fatman podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh-ah.
Well, once upon a time, just a regular man read a book written by the Fat Man. Tough shit written by old Kev Smith.
Ooh-ah. That Man on Fatman.
Kev said go out and start a podcast, and so I did, and I had a real blast. But my obsession was driving my co-host nuts.
He's that man. He's talking.
Didn't want to bring the podcast down. Needed Pork Chop Murphy to hang around.
Go get him, that man.
So I created a show with one heck of a plan, and I call that show That Man on Fatman.
That Man on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
That Man on Fatman. That Man on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
Go get him, that man.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode 4-13. I got 3 on the brain because of 13. And we are fresh back from Monmouth Film Festival. And with me in the studio is none other than co-host and producer extraordinaire, Jeanne Holden.
Hi, guys.
And we're back fresh, driving in the traffic and having...
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than Sunday night shore traffic.
Yeah, and it could have been worse.
And we're actually re-recording these segments because we felt like, now that sort of the latest leg of the Shooting Clerks East
Journey.
Coast tour,
Right.
or whatever you want to call it, is at least the Northeast part
seems to be drawing to a close.
Is wrapping up.
An exciting visit for those guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Then
wow, they got to film Bob Hawke today.
Yes, they did. They got to film Bob Hawke. Apparently, they also filmed Brian Johnson during the week.
Yes.
And
Good for
yeah,
you guys.
and they just won an award too.
Yes, they won the People's Choice Award at the Monmouth Film Festival.
So congratulations to
the crowd. Oh, you know what? Let me get the
all of the shooting clerks
yes.
folks out there, the
Yeah.
cast and crew. Congratulations to everybody.
Yeah, follow them, guys.
You
Like
all
if you don't
deserve
follow
the
them on
accolades.
Facebook. It was the Audience Choice Award.
Audience Choice Award,
Yes,
sorry.
that was their award. Good job.
Excellent. Yes, congratulations, guys,
Yes.
on the Audience Choice Awards from the Monmouth Film Festival, the
Yes.
second annual.
Yeah, proud of everybody involved.
It's so funny because only moments ago we were hobnobbing and rubbing elbows with the likes of
Yes.
Ernie O'Donnell,
and
Bob Hawke, and
Right.
who else was there?
Bob Hawke was there.
Oh, I did tell Bob about
Brian O'Halloran was there.
All right, so we haven't talked about any of the screenings yet.
No, we have not.
So this will be our first opportunity to
Right.
do that. So
Okay.
we can talk about all three now.
Okay.
And plus, now the actual film is fresh in my head again.
Yes. Yes.
The first screening that we went to, and actually, let's just make this official
Okay.
before we go anywhere. I'll play the Smedlines intro so we could just call this Smedlines.
Okay.
And now, direct from the That Cave, we give you the Smedlines with Jeanne Holden.
Yeah.
All right.
God, as I hack up a lung. Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
That's right. The Smedlines with Jeanne Holden.
Yeah.
Ready for rocking.
That's me.
I'm going to overuse the hell out of that fucking sound effect. All right. Well, so I guess we're going to incorporate what we're about to talk about in the Smedlines to make it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't there another story you want to talk about really quickly? Hint, hint.
And what would that be, please?
Something about a tweet going out by a director of a film.
Okay.
You remember now?
No.
I am Groot.
James Gunn.
I am Groot, yes.
James Gunn.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you remember the story now?
Yeah. Are we going to talk about it again?
Yeah, because
okay.
we're this
yes,
this
sorry.
will now
I
overlay.
apologize.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right.
So
all good.
We all know
you're catching
how-
up.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We're re-recording essentially.
We all know the feeling.
Not an addendum, an actual overdue.
Yes, it's an overdue.
It's a do-over.
Redo. Erase the first.
Yeah.
This is the replacement.
You got it.
I got it.
All right.
So
So
I'm
just mention
in.
this
I'm all in. Okay. So
She was, in all fairness, folks, she really was on the ball this morning. She had her Smedlines all laid out.
Yeah,
but,
and
we're,
okay. So
I'm doing
basically,
we're doing this
is-
a little on the fly.
Yeah. So James Gunn, we know, is the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, is it part 2?
It's volume 2.
It's volume
It's
2.
volume
I
2,
apologize.
and he's very
very
into that.
specific about it. If you watch the extras in the
It's
movie,
not, but he hasn't gone back to Guardians of the Galaxy and named it Volume 1 yet. So
no, but it's very it's
that's when he's Lucas-like.
right. So we all know how Kevin.
Actually, he'll be Lucas-like when
Kevin's
he names it
very
Volume 4.
right. Kevin is very, very emotional about this movie.
Yeah, and I love it
he
too.
He recorded. Oh my God, it's such an amazing movie.
Last night we watched it with a friend, and I literally, just to not look like a total P-rag, walked out of the room because I just didn't want to break down again.
It's
and
so emotional.
yeah, it just touched a lot. It touches a lot of tender spots.
And like Baby Groot, like comes
It's a whole
around,
the whole
at,
thing.
like,
It's
just the
a
right
father's
time.
movie. It's a fathers and son
it's
movie.
It's a very tender movie. It's a very like.
It's a fun
funny movie.
It's a fun
so
movie.
Funny.
It's a roller coaster ride.
Right. So
there's sexy people in it.
Very sexy. Like
everyone was
sexy.
oogling the gold girl.
Sexy
last
asses,
night.
just like ours.
Yes,
just like
of course.
Ralph
yes.
Garman says.
That's right. I don't have that queued up though. That particular. Do I? I don't think I have that one queued up yet.
Chris Pratt.
Ooh-ah.
Chris Pratt.
Oh wait, maybe I do. Hang on. No, I don't.
Chris Pratt's got a nice ass.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah.
Ooh-ah.
It's so funny.
Ooh-ah.
Yeah.
You are listening to
I
ThatMan
do have it,
on
kinda,
Fatman
but that's just what
with
we have.
Scott and Jeanne Holden, and they, trust me, have a great ass.
Yeah.
Which is where that was originally.
That came out of nowhere. Okay. So.
I will,
Okay. You were saying before I so
now
rudely
you have me
interrupted.
thinking about shooting Clerks.
All right. So finish out the
Okay.
so James
Okay.
Gunn retweeted Pete.
Right.
Peter.
So Kevin loves to like review, and then he also likes to watch the movie and record himself. So he's bawling and he's crying. So basically, he posted it. James Gunn reposted it and said, "This is the best thing I've ever seen." Basically, saying that. So it was pretty great. So
yes, and it broke the internet for 5 seconds.
It really did. It really
no,
did.
it was just a cool thing to say.
This is the best thing I've seen ever. Or something
yeah,
like
and
that.
he retweeted it, and so that means more and more.
Yeah, well, Kevin's
more
a big
love to
mush.
Kevin, more love to
James Gunn. Yep.
Yeah, so
Very cool.
again,
And
I had
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I had to leave the room during all the Yondu scenes because towards the end there because I just knew. It's not even just Yondu with Peter. It's Yondu with Rocket right beforehand.
Oh, I love that.
Where he's like, "Fucking, you're me. I know you because I am you."
And
it's
you
like,
totally get it. You totally get it.
Yeah, it's
He's
so
amazing.
and
Rooker's amazing.
But here's the other thing that's going on. Michael Rooker is painted blue, has a head fin, and is talking to a raccoon.
Right. He doesn't like
and
being
you
called
buy
raccoon.
it.
I know.
That's what I mean. See?
Well, they have feelings.
That movie does a magic trick. You know what that movie does? It's made it so that Fantastic Four is absolutely not needed. Because the Guardians of the Galaxy are sort of like their Fantastic Four now.
I love it.
Oh, no, there's 5.
I love it.
They're just
And
a
it's
dysfunctional family,
right.
which is how they should have done Fantastic
and that's like
Four.
people relate to it. That's why people get it.
Yeah.
Because like they're the misfits or whatever you want to call them. They're not really the.
That's exactly
like,
why.
that
And they were
people
talking
get
about
it.
that.
People get it. The
Yeah,
underdog.
They're the underdogs.
People
exactly.
get it. They get that, but they root for that because they know what it feels like.
And that's why Guardians so far has been the best movie I've seen this year for sure.
Yeah.
In the 2017 year.
So great.
I'm trying to think
much humor.
what comes second. What did I see that really blew me away quite like that? I can't think of anything that
as
jumps.
much as Guardians.
Yeah, Guardians really sort of set the bar this season.
Yeah.
This year.
A
lot of the
Wonder Woman probably.
Wonder
was
Woman
very
was
good.
good, but again, kind
It
of a
was
standard superhero movie.
Okay,
I mean
so-
it's a girl version, so I'll and
That
they
rocked.
and they add humor, and it was the movie
And
that like
sexy.
women had been waiting to see for 100 years.
Yeah.
But Guardians really has been my. And you know what the next movie that comes to mind that jumped out as something, an unexpected gem that I loved? Baby Driver.
Baby Driver was awesome.
I went in so cold, I had no idea what it is. Everyone just said it was really good, and the kids wanted to see it, and it was getting. I knew that it had high, high tomato meter.
Right, and the music was supposed to be really good.
And the star's name I can't pronounce.
Ansel Elgort.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's such a big.
He's
you know
cutie.
what?
He's a cute
such
kid.
A cutie, and he's so,
very
like,
convincing in it, and he reminds me of Luke, our friend Luke from
He's
back.
so adorable, like this Ansel Elgort. Yes.
Yeah.
He's very adorable.
So
and you know what I really
and I just love. I got to dig out maybe tonight. Maybe I'll close the show with
Bell Bottom.
No, East Coast. Oh fuck! I feel so bad for these guys now. The guys from down south who came up to shoot for shooting
ECN.
Clerks. Yes,
ECN podcast.
Yeah, and just
Matthew Myers.
Yeah, and just thought I was a crazy driver.
Well, yeah.
Because I'll throw that on, like them talking about my driving.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That is.
That would be. They're
I mean, I don't talk about it. I don't refer to it. I'm not a race driver. I don't like. You'll never hear me talk about cars like that.
Right.
But I love, like, quick driving. I like.
Like a smooth,
I'm good with
ride.
I'm good with spatial relations. So.
Right.
While those guys were scared,
you knew.
at no point did I feel nervous or, I was just, it was Jersey.
Yeah.
They're for down south where the fucking people move like fucking snails and tailgate each other and crash into each other because they don't know how to handle
they
anything.
Don't use the directional.
Yeah. It's like, we just got out of the horse and buggy. Now we got these newfangled automobiles.
No offense to our southern friends.
Kidding, folks. Kidding. I kid. We kid because we love.
We do.
But anyway, so
bless your
there's
heart.
a side of me that is really sort of a stunt driver. So.
Oh yeah, well because you have that daredevil in you. You have that. You have that rebel.
Jeanne knows it because she's fucking got white.
Oh my God.
She's got fingernails. I'm still better than the dashboard.
And my anxiety level is like shot through the roof.
You're kind of like the guys from that podcast. All right, so Baby Driver was a total hit for me.
Can I say that I loved Alien Covenant? I
It was
really
all right.
enjoyed it.
It was all right. It was
acting,
good. It was good that it didn't suck.
I thought the acting was great in that. I enjoyed
I
it.
think you want to. I think you like that. I think you tell yourself you like that more when you actually see it again. You're going to go, huh?
No, I liked it a lot. I saw it twice.
Didn't even have the hotness in it.
Huh?
Didn't even have the hotness in it from Prometheus.
Yeah, that's true.
Whose character was an utter waste.
Oh my god!
And who needs to learn
Charlize?
to run sideways.
Charlize?
Yes, when something is rolling at you
Charlize.
and you're in danger of being crushed by it, what you do is you run sideways. You don't run opposite.
Charlize, we have to talk.
Yeah. Oh, God. She was great in
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde as well.
Yeah.
All right, we're going way up. This is Spedlines. We're not in
This
Spedlines.
is the Smedlines, yes.
This is not the Smedlines. This is fucking rambling podcast.
Right. So we were basically talking about James Gunn.
Yes, and he
how
tweeted that, and it's a wonderful thing.
He
and
responded, and
congratulations
it was a
to
great
all
thing.
involved.
Yes.
Now let's move on to shooting. Wait, hang on, we have to do a sweeper. Hang on, hold on.
A sweeper?
Well, to indicate that we're moving from one news story to the other, this is the patented ThatMan on Fatman sweeper.
A sweeper.
All right.
Wow,
now moving
that was
on
very clean.
to the next segment in the news. Also, before we get too deep into the news, our guest today is not only is he a comic book artist, but he is a Guinness Book of World Record comic book artist.
That's really cool.
He holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the most superheroes on a cover, a comic book cover, and it's for Daredevil, or Deadpool, sorry.
Deadpool's wedding,
It's
right?
the D's, yeah. Yeah.
those D's.
Yes, D's. Daredevil.
Dick.
Hey, easy now. Hang
That
on.
Daredevil's cute. I like him.
The exact issue was, hang on, let me zoom in. It was Deadpool number 27, the wedding cover. And you will obviously see it on the cover of this particular episode.
Absolutely.
And also, as I will talk about later, Scott, this guest kind of holds a bit of a special place for me in my heart. So I'll talk more about that for his pre-roll intro.
Very good.
But now back to the Smedlines.
Very good.
Which is back to Shooting Clerks, and it's 3-day run. And, of course, Kevin's, the Kevin Day on the 5th.
Right.
Which was...
That was August 5th. That was Saturday, August 5th.
And
it turned...
It was a Jay and Silent Bob.
Mm-hmm. It was Jay and Silent Bob
Cosplay.
Cosplay.
Trying to break the Guinness Book of World Records
Correct.
again. Two references in one show.
Right.
And, in fact, they did.
And they
Now,
did.
we bragged that we were going to be there. We are going to bring footage and coverage. But let's be honest. If you know our other show, you know what we get up to. And we had a really late and really awesome night. So there was just no fucking way.
Oh, you mean that night? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, there was just no way we could make it to Red Bank. We were up to 4.
We really were.
Yes. And it was amazing. So if you want to find out more details about that, check out the next episode of Tales from the Swing. And you can check that out also on Podbean at talesfromtheswing.podbean.com.
Yes.
Yes, that's another podcast. Don't be too shocked. It's not for the faint of heart or for those who are prudish in any way, shape, or form. And you'll find out more about us than you'll ever want to know.
Yeah, or maybe they'll want to know more.
Now we threw another plug in the middle of fucking
Yes, we did.
We may as well just open the commercials now.
So basically, this is what happened.
Shooting Clerks was awesome.
Well, the cosplay.
So we couldn't make the cosplay.
We didn't. They wound up beating the record.
Yes.
Now they needed 250 and they had 284 Jay and Silent Bob.
So there you go. They beat it by a good 30, 40 players.
Yeah, they really did. It was awesome.
I've seen video and some pictures from the event. Kevin was around giving out donuts.
I know.
See, this is why I regret not being there. Only because we had a birthday gift for Kevin.
We did.
Which, because of the chaos of that evening when we finally got there at where they were filming in Atlantic Highlands for Comic Book Man, the premiere of Shooting Clerks, with the first time Kevin seeing it, there was a lot of chaos involved. So the birthday present was on postpone.
Right.
But anyway, so getting back to the 5th, that event went off very well. It was also raining that morning, too.
It was.
So
it
folks
started, yeah.
So there were one of the interesting things about one of those rain posts. I saw a picture. Someone posted it on the Kevin Smith Facebook group.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Anybody who is a fan of this show should also probably be following and a member of that group as well. Just because we post there from time to time. We try not to
The World of Kevin Smith.
Yeah, the World of Kevin Smith. Yeah, it's one of the
Facebook.
bigger Facebook Kevin Smith groups.
Yeah.
Geez, why didn't I even bring them up?
I don't know.
I was bringing them up to go somewhere.
Well, because.
Oh no! Yeah, I saw a posting there. Duh. Sorry.
Yeah, we saw a posting.
It's late,
there.
folks. I'm trying to pull this all out.
About the August 5th thing.
Yes, they posted a rain pic. It was them standing in the line in the rain. They were in front of the View Askew offices,
right?
And instantly, what clicked into my mind was, and so I typed as a reply to the guy who posted. And I don't remember his name at the time, but I was like, you realize that is where they, in fact, shot the rain scene in Chasing Amy.
Oh, my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, and the guy didn't know that, but now he does.
Oh, my God.
And he got a kind of kick out of it.
Yeah.
So his rain pick, it's like, hey, dude, you were in the rain. Like, next time you see Chasing Amy, you were there.
So
you were like there, and you were in the rain.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Even though, like, the rain from then was generated from a hose. And if you watch, it's even, the final cut still has them walking in and out of the rain.
That's crazy.
But that's not uncommon. I mean, that's not unheard of. Like I've said, when I was a kid in Florida, I remember distinctly seeing, for the first time in my life, the end of the rainstorm. The problem was it was coming at us.
Oh, no.
So it was like raining down the block, like
Yeah.
pouring rain
Right.
down the block. And where we were standing, dry as a bone. But we saw that
crazy.
line of rain coming right at us. So
Yeah.
it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Chances are,
right.
though,
Oh.
Occam's razor, it's they
Right.
walked out from under the hose that was spraying the water. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the way they do it. At least they went down the street. Anyway.
Or it rains, but probably
Well,
doesn't
night scenes always look better if you wet everything down.
Right.
when
Oh,
you're
I never
filming.
knew that.
Yeah.
Because of the light, you mean? It makes
It makes
like a reflection,
yeah,
kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look good.
Yeah, that's what. So film crews always have to hose down
Right.
the set.
Yeah. And it
If they're
doesn't look
shooting
wet.
outside.
It just looks like...
No, it looks damp. It
Yeah.
looks, but it gives you,
It gets a feeling.
It's a
It
better
definitely
lighting.
does. Yeah,
element.
it's very true. Yeah.
You get reflection. You'll get gobos.
Gobo. What's that?
That's actually what a gobo is. I don't even know if they use them anymore with fucking new lighting.
Yeah.
But it was sort of like a fixture. It was something you could use like a branded, like you could have a light of your company's brand name.
Okay.
And what they used to create that is in lighting was called a gobo, and I'm sure it stood for something, but I never bothered to ask.
Oh.
So I just
I
know what
never
they
heard of
are
that.
and don't even know their origin or anything like that. But yeah. That's
Like
from back in the old
gobo.
sound and lighting days there.
There you go.
See, gobos are probably as instantly, like, can be created very easily now.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
I'm
lighting
sure.
and everything. Anyway, so we're drifting far
We're
afoul.
drifting into gobos.
Yes, we're in gobos. And gobots and hey,
Right.
hey, don't make fun of the guy.
Who?
Gobots those are like the Kmart
Oh.
Transformers.
It's Transformer.
You know who I'm doing? The guy who did MadDuckets.com.
Who is that?
Clerks 2.
Oh, yes.
It was actually, my name is Earl, Mr. Jason Lee.
Jason Lee, I love you.
And you could tell he was shooting My Name is Earl because he had the hair and the mustache.
Right.
But anyway, that was for Clerks 2.
Brody, right?
No, it wasn't Brody. It was the guy who Pickle Fucker.
Oh, that's right. Pickle fucker, yeah. Shoot.
Whenever he has like all his top end, when all the big talent comes back, he just humiliates them.
I know.
He said
so
Jason Lee is
funny,
pickle fucker, and like the things he's done to fucking. Oh God, I can't think. It's too Matt,
Matt Damon?
not Matt Damon. The other one,
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Oh yeah,
He humiliates him quite a bit.
He really does.
Yes.
Rightly so, Batman. Get over yourself.
But, Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
It's fucking Batman. That's cool.
Anyway.
That
We
is
are
pretty
far. This is scatterbrain. Maybe we shouldn't have done this, but now we're committed, so we're going
We
through
are
it.
committed as fuck.
So we got there that night for the first of this new run of the 2017 New Jersey and New York area screenings of Shooting Clerks.
Right.
It's a new cut. It's a new cut of the film. They've added elements to sort of honor the passing of again a name that's going to make
Lisa Spoonhour.
Spoonhour. See, it's after hours. I'm tired.
I'm amazed.
Any name is just going to go bye-bye to me right now. At this
I'm
point.
amazed that
details are out the window.
Yeah.
So I need you you're my details girl tonight, sweetie.
Okay, I'm trying. I'm doing pretty good.
You're awesome. You're much better than me. I'm a
Thank
fucking
you,
scatterbrained moron.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yes. So there are extra scenes that they've added.
Yes, they've added extra scenes.
We don't want to
with
spoil
Lucy
too
Spoonhour.
much to everybody.
But if you've heard some of Kevin's recent SModcasts, one of them he opened up about Lisa Spoonhour. So if you heard some of those stories, there are versions of those that you can kind of see in the film.
Right.
Also,
very nicely done.
A new credit sequence added.
So cute.
Very sharp.
Yeah.
Very good looking. Still see Gumry at the beginning.
Yeah.
And a Mater nod as well. James Mater nod on the yellow placard.
Yes.
But a really nice animated credit sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Madison's in it. Scantily
Madison.
clad as a cover model. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. And also, I think of my favorite things that they added, without a doubt, was they added a beat, and I'll just say it's Randall's mom, and I'll leave it there.
Oh my God.
It is hysterical. I'm glad I actually got to tell Chris that was...
It's so funny.
of all the stuff he added, that was genius. And it was just the right beat at the right moment, and it gets a good laugh,
cute.
and it works. And yeah, that's what I'm noticing now is where the beats are in the movie, like, and where there's always consistent laughter, like what elicits a reaction every time.
Right.
Some of the things that I've noticed that always, I mean, first of all, the man himself, the Kevin Smith doppelganger.
Yes, Mark Frost.
Mark Frost carries the movie with no problem.
He's
and
so good.
He's so good that in some respects, like, he does it effortlessly that you don't even kind of think about it in that respect.
I know.
Like, you almost don't realize he's doing it.
Right.
And
he's so believable.
Yeah, and I talked to him in the after party a little bit, and I said this, it's like, what I love about it is you don't play Kevin. And I may have said this when he was when we interviewed him.
I think so, you did.
He doesn't play Kevin. He plays...
Right.
He says he's just playing a 20-year-old kid who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Right.
And is just trying to figure it out.
Right.
And that is perfect. However, his on-screen opposite in the form of Jay Muse, which is Chris Bain.
Chris Bain.
Seen the performance now 6 times. It is a great. He gets consistently in every fucking viewing. His beats always get strong laughs and the strongest laughs. He's embodying Jay.
He is. He's worked on that role, man.
Yeah, and
I'm sure a lot of it came naturally, but I think he worked on it too.
Yeah,
he really did a great job.
So you can't give that kid enough kudos.
Oh my God, Chris Bain. Kudos to you, dude.
I mean, he like what Vinny said. He is Jay Muse in many respects.
And we missed you because you weren't able to come.
Yeah, we missed you this time around.
But you've got work. He's doing
lots
of great things.
As it should, because that performance shows that the guy's got chops.
He's doing stage works, like movie work. So
yeah. So
I'm proud of you. And we can't
I also have to
see
give a huge shout out in terms of who in that movie embodies a role to the point where you don't even realize it's them anymore. Brett Murray
you're
gives
brilliant.
an amazing performance, and it's weird because I don't hear anyone sort of raving about it
right
the same way, but they should, because
that's
like when we talk to him, there's a moment where we go, yeah, that's right. You're fucking Brian Johnson, dude.
I know.
Like we forgot because first of all, it is fate that a kid from Scotch Plains,
New Jersey,
ends up in Scotland.
Yeah, moves
who
to
has
Scotland.
a vague resemblance to Brian Johnson and a damn good vocal range for
He
Brian.
really
He's got a
does.
low, deep voice.
He really does.
So he's almost there.
Mm-hmm.
You put those fucking mullet wigs on him and shit, and he just embodies that role. He
Right.
nails it. So
And it's really not, like, to me, like a Brian Johnson just doesn't happen. Like,
yeah,
that's-
he nails it.
I
Like
know.
him and the dad with the
Oh
temp.
my God,
you
the
know.
dad, that was so great. Yeah, we don't want to spoil much.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so funny.
But everything screams Brian Johnson.
It really does.
And it also, another thing that almost all of the actors portray is an innocence.
Really, I know.
And it's not like, that was casting.
Right,
That's just them. They just exude a certain innocence.
right.
Walter.
I love him.
Postwaite. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I know. I apologize with the names,
Is it-
but
is it-
we'll have to pull them up.
Is it Michael Postwaite? I'm sorry if I'm... But, dude, if you're listening to this, you're not necessarily... You're like a guy I don't see playing Walter, but your innocence captures
Oh my God, you like-
Walter's innocence.
And you'd like take
Because
over.
Walter, at heart, I know that he's a weird dude and all. At his heart,
so
Walter's
weird,
a good Catholic boy.
He really is.
He's a good Catholic boy. And that is the innocence that is at Walter's core. And I think that's what sort of jumps off the screen. And same thing with Ernie's character.
Oh,
And again, and I'm just waxing about this movie. This is sort of my review. Take it for what it is. And I'm just sucking the movie's dick. The scene between Kevin and Ernie, which is, the actors playing them.
right,
To me, that is like sort of the moral core of the movie.
right.
Like, it just sort of like, it sums up what it should be. It's about making movies with your friends. It's about putting your ego aside. It's about also, while it didn't happen, not every event happened like it did in that movie. It does show that, yes, these two guys eventually resolved and became friends and, are now still friends.
Right.
So, all right. So that was the
So basically, I'm trying to find.
So
the
the
name.
first night they were filming, so it was crazy. There's going to be a Comic Book Men episode wrapped around the show.
Right.
I posted Kevin's verbal reactions to that, but I know that immediately after, because I went up and got to the bathroom, they were shooting Kevin in the hallway with the mayor, and he was reflecting and drying his tears and all that. And that's why I had to jump up late on the dais, because I ran up to the bathroom.
So we were talking about Matthew
Sorry about that. Postwaite.
Postlethwaite. Is that
Postwaite.
what you say? Postlethwaite.
Yeah.
So that's Walt Flanagan. That's who we were talking about. I was,
Yeah, he has
I
a
was
nice
just trying to
innocence.
get his name.
Yeah, I'm just trying to run through and kind of comment on everyone's performance that really jumped out at me.
Right. I was
Now-
just trying to get their names right as we were talking, but obviously I didn't time it very well. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's okay. Who was I talking? Also, the other one so the Innocence crowd would be the guy playing Walter, Mr. Postwaite,
Right.
the guy who plays Brian O'Halloran.
Right.
What's his name as you scroll down?
I know. They're kind of in like a different sort of order. That,
Yeah, IMDb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
by
just-
popularity. And
Yeah. So just like keep on talking.
no problem. So, but by far, the characters who embody the roles are Jay and Brett.
Right.
Brett as I keep jumping between the player and so it would be Chris Bain as Jay and Brett Murray as Brian Johnson. Those two guys just blow me away. Then obviously next is Kevin.
Right.
But again, I guess the reason I put those guys, those first two, because they are playing those characters, whereas Kevin, the guy playing Kevin, went a different way. God, I feel such a jerk when I can't get names tonight because I'm so fried out from a long day. And I know these people, and I know their name. Mark Frost. He chose to go a different way. He chose to not be Kevin.
Right. So Kit,
but still a strong performance. He carries that movie.
Kit Alexander plays Brian O'Halloran.
Yeah, he has an innocence.
He really does.
He does, and I said this to Brian. Brian O'Halloran has never himself been that innocent. You know what I mean? He's never.
And Johnny Glasgow, it was Ernie, and I thought he was.
Yes,
also
and he's another one who has that,
and
like this, just such a sweetness to them. Like they really hold that youthfulness. That like this is a time of innocence, we're making movies. Yeah, we may be foul-mouthed bastards, but really what we are is all friends. And
I have to tell you guys, no matter who I talk to, like Ernie is like always been like the greatest guy.
Very supportive.
Just so you know.
Very supportive.
Like no matter who, but
yes, and we saw Mrs. Ernie tonight.
Right, and the way he's portrayed on the screen is just the way he's just kind, and he's always been a good guy.
Yes.
So that's just, it's real. And because it's just like, how could somebody be that great? But he just apparently is, so.
Yeah. So then, that was a big night. It was a big event. I was at the bathroom when they started lining up.
Oh my God.
So then, like, when I got there, Jean's like, call him.
So I turned around. I'm like,
so I was like, should I? I don't know. So I jumped up late.
And you thought about it, really. You didn't think about it very long. And you knew that you should go.
Yeah.
So you ran right up.
I did. And I got to introduce myself. And again, another thing that I have noticed, 6 screenings now.
Right.
Howard always gets a beat. Howard always gets a nice mutter.
Right. He
doesn't get like a huge one, but enough people go, "Ooh, Howard," or chuckle, or just are pleased. You get just like when Marilyn pops on the screen too.
Right.
She's another surprise.
Well, it's a familiarity.
Yeah, it usually gets an audible gasp.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, it's Marilyn."
Yeah,
hey,
it's cool.
Yeah,
she
all that
does a
stunt
good job.
casting is very good.
Yeah.
So.
She does a good job. I think they really did a wise choice casting.
But fucking man, if Chris Bain doesn't land the loudest and longest laughs at
he really does
every beat, every one of the beats.
Right, he really does.
Which are usually scene closers. Like
Bravo, Chris Bain.
Yeah, he really. It's like you can set a watch.
Yeah.
By the crowd reactions, yeah, you can. It's very impressive.
It's
very impressive.
Fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, again, it speaks to Chris Bain's deliverance of that character. And here's a couple of little things in there that are first. Jay Muse not at Sundance because he couldn't afford it, but they put him there in the movie.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, but it makes sense. You want to have that rally, at the
Right.
It's a high point in the movie. You want all the characters
right.
there. You don't want to. There's where you don't want reality invading in on your story.
So he wasn't able to go because
he was roofing.
Oh yeah.
If I recall.
Yeah, I think he may still have been getting high then too. No, or is he sober?
Back then he was he was using like most people use in their 20s. He wasn't off the deep end yet.
That.
Yeah, I think he was just smoking and drinking.
Oh, okay, not yet.
He hadn't started doing dope or anything heavy yet.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, it makes sense if you know his history and everything.
Yeah.
So. Oh, boy, we're drifting.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long fucking show, and we haven't even got this poor Scott Koblish.
We're getting there.
Yeah. So, let's just sum this up by saying, well, I love the movie. There's some new stuff. Love the new stuff that's in there for in honor of Caitlin Brie.
Very sweet.
Was it Caitlin Brie? Is that who she's playing?
That is Lisa Spoonhour.
Lisa Spoonhour, yes.
Caitlin Brie.
Yeah, some interesting, great stuff added.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it.
It's like a great job.
You're asking the wrong guy if you're looking for me to run it down because, 1, they did such a great job. 2, it's such a fun movie. If you've seen Snowball Effect, it adds enough other material and experience to it. And it gives it a different flavor.
Right.
So it's not like, if I've seen Snowball Effect, why would I want to see that?
No,
not at all.
It's totally different.
I want to do a big shout out to See, this is where is it Ryan? Is it Ryan?
Ryan James.
Is it Ryan James or is it James Ryan
James
or
Noir.
is it James Noir? He was James Noir originally. I think
like
James
him.
is his real name,
I
and I
kinda
wouldn't be
like
surprised
James
if it's James Ryan.
Oh.
But maybe it's Ryan James. So
Ryan James.
here's what I'm going to
You're
say:
an awesome
James Ryan James.
James Ryan James.
Massive
Noir.
yeah, James Ryan James Noir.
James Ryan
We are
James Noir.
we are indebted to you, man. I am
He's such a
indebted to
sweet
you
guy.
because like you were the second unit director. So every time I see the Vinny scene, I remember you saying you're a super fan, so like I'm going to put you right here. And this way if they cut you, I mean the only way they can cut you is to cut Vinny.
Aw,
And that
that's
was
so cool.
And that was even before like the Howard thing happened. And he also was the one who said you can play Kevin because you'll be the Kevin stand-in.
Right.
That's a credited role as opposed to just being the extra. I mean, we'll do the extra thing too, but you'll get a credited role. And that was before even Howard happened. So, and Howard was not Chris Bain, but Chris Downey thing, just talking on the phone and wanted to pay homage.
Yeah.
This whole experience has been on, but without Ryan James there, like just kind of looking out for us.
Yeah.
And
I was an extra too.
yes,
He kept
and
me
you're
in.
you're in the movie too as a result. Now it's funny because
You didn't cut me out.
one of the screenings, if they don't go wide, you're out.
It was the size of the screen.
Yeah,
It didn't fit.
Yeah, because they had to play it in a smaller ratio.
Well, tonight it was though.
And it was off the screen a little bit. Yeah. So.
I'm goofy though.
Well, you're just in the
You'll
back.
see
You're
me,
just
I'm
an
goofy.
extra.
I
mean,
know.
you're
Goofy
literally,
though.
and that was a great night. I remember
was so much
filming
fun.
that. I think we
Yeah.
talk about it on the show at some
Yeah.
point. You can go back in the archives.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That was the night I didn't recognize Brian O'Halloran
Oh my god, that is so crazy.
and
guys.
walked right past him.
Don't spoil it. It's so crazy,
Yeah,
guys. Brian
yeah.
O'Halloran is an amazing.
Yeah.
He just like transformed.
Yeah, he did for that.
He's
That's for sure.
So, yeah, he's so good.
And my hand's in that scene too.
I don't
Just
know.
a
I
little
didn't
bit, just a
I missed
little
that.
for a second, because I'm handing him the napkin. So is Frank
it was
Powers,
so
and yes,
good.
Frank Powers, your phone call
Oh
was
my
in
God,
there.
Frank Powers, you're in it.
Yeah, I kept going. I kept turning to Gene, and go, Frank Powers, Frank Powers. It's Frank Powers,
It's Frank Powers.
who was also Scott Mosier to my
Yes.
Kevin Smith.
He was the sit-in for.
You'll see a
or
scene
stand-in, whatever.
where essentially it's when the Weinsteins or the Wisemans
The Wisemans.
buy the film. We were the stand-ins at the other side of the table.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
worked out.
again, Ryan James Noir,
Noir.
or Ryan James,
James Ryan.
and we're just
James
having
Noir.
fun with you, dude. You know, much
Oh, he
love.
gets it.
And actually,
He's not
I
like
need to
that.
send him an email, so I'm
Yes,
going to do
he's
that
not
immediately
like
after
that.
the show, even though we probably won't get it until tomorrow.
So enough of that.
Yes, enough dick sucking.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that with him because I feel weird saying that.
Yeah, I'll say it though. I don't feel so weird. He's so pretty that I wouldn't be surprised
So
if he's on our
pretty.
team,
He's totally pretty.
which is the buy team. If
Oh,
anyone's
come
curious.
on. We won't have to
If you
touch
don't,
him.
you can come on the team.
He's totally
Or come
pretty.
on
He has
Eileen.
a nice smile and just come on Eileen.
Come on. God, I wish I had that queued up. That would be awesome. Anyway, that's all I got. So, poor Scott Koblish is like, are they ever going to get to me? I feel like
James
I'm on
Ryan
this
James.
episode. A lot of Kevin
They
stuff
won't
going
stop
on.
talking about James Ryan James Noir.
Yeah. Ryan James Noir.
No,
James.
James.
No,
You
no.
said his name is probably James Ryan, so I said James. Then you said
So I said
James,
Ryan James Ryan
James Ryan James,
Noir. Yes.
It's
We're-
funny.
Just keep building it. All right. We're just,
I'm sorry, dude. It makes
Yeah.
me laugh though.
yes. Always very well dressed.
Snappy as
Yes.
fuck.
I get, but the pink plaid,
The pink plaid.
that
is
makes
him.
me wonder.
Why? Because it's pink plaid.
He's on our team, yeah.
Oh my god.
And he's pretty. He pays
He's
attention to his.
totally-
He's thin. He's neat. Pays
He's
attention.
very tidy.
Yes. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Tidy's great.
Hey, I'm as bi as a $3 bill, whatever that means. So
Yeah.
what do you want?
I think that's as queer as a $3 bill, or something like that. Or odd.
I think we're moving on from
Okay,
this
that
news
means
story.
move on. Move on. It's
I don't know.
Scratch that. Move on.
That's what it means. Because everyone's like, please move on.
So anyway, no more James Ryan James.
one of the worst catastrophes in the world called the humanity.
Okay, so what we were gonna. So we're moving on to what?
Well, okay. Summarize. So
Summarize.
First screening was amazing. It was crazy. It was Comic Book Men was wrapped around it. You had this big Jay and Silent Bob thing, so there was Jay and Silent Bobs all over the place.
It was at the Atlantic Highlands Theater.
Yeah.
Right.
Next screening, the next day, very low key.
Right. The Brightside Tavern in Jersey City.
Shout out to C.J. Cullen who helped put that together. It went on
and
late.
Laura Madsen.
They went on late.
They did go late.
So Brian O'Halloran did like 20 minutes of stand-up.
He did.
That I'll be
Great job.
posting tomorrow at some point.
Oh, cool.
I got a lot of shit to post. This will be a busy post week. I'm actually videoing this in a strange way. I'm probably going to use that as well.
I think my back is kind of...
Oh, it's just a general... It's
idea.
a one-shot wide. It's an addendum.
Yeah, I think my back was to you guys for a minute.
You can see us going crazy.
Sorry.
Anyway, see, I'm doing that too much. It's the weirdest scatter.
And then they, like each one, they've done a Q&A afterwards.
Yeah. And we got some of the footage of that.
Yeah, we
too,
have some footage. And I got some really nice things today. And
now,
nice video today, too.
We were talking before about the birthday present that we're trying to get to Kevin.
Yes.
We were not able to do that until... we tried to bring it today because we heard, if you read the bill.
Well, not just heard, we seen it.
Yeah, that Kevin was supposed to be there today, but
so
Kevin was not there.
The switcheroo, he probably, he's somewhere
But it was
else.
still a
Where
really
is he?
cool night.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who told me that?
Who?
Grace.
Grace said what?
Grace told me where he was.
Ah.
And I don't remember where it was because I couldn't hear her well enough.
Oh, okay.
All right, so tonight was really cool for that, for a lot of the sideline stuff. It was a really nice night. So
it really was. So
they were in the Monmouth Film Festival. It's the second year of that. They, as we announced, they won the
audience
choice.
The audience choice.
It was a very nice night. Bob was there.
Right.
Ernie was there. All these folks were there. And then, again, Ryan Noir James went out and Pink Plaid. He even shouted out people in the crowd, and I was very honored to be one of the ones shouted out.
It's very nice.
And then after that, I shot up and talked to Coey London.
Oh, my gosh.
Who was sitting next to, of course, Grace Smith.
Right.
Because I wanted to drop off the birthday gift with Grace.
Yes.
And so I saw Coey, and he said, give me a call this week. I'm finally going to do this show. They all say that when we're in front of them.
I know.
And those who don't know, if you know you're Jay and Silent Bob, or actually, if you know you're Chasing Amy, finger cuffs.
Amy, yes. Chasing Amy trivia.
Yeah.
I know that.
So look forward to that. But Grace, I gave the birthday present to him. I said, this is for Kevin. If you could somehow, if you guys can make sure. And I was also obviously talking to Mr. London because he works in the stash, and I know that. So that it gets taken care of and gets to Kevin.
Right.
So
I hope so.
Yesterday was a neat week too. Since I'm talking about Kevin, I'll just put this out there because it was sort of a bummer day. So it came on at a good time, but we thought that Kevin would be in town all this week.
Right.
So on a whim, I shot an email out to him saying, "Hey, you want to swing in? Want to stop by?" And he replied.
Yeah.
He replied. He was like, "I'm already home, sir." But he replied, and every time I get a reply, it's like, "Yay!" It always lifts my day up.
Yeah.
Hey, he knows I exist. Woo.
Right. Well, and he actually answered your
exactly.
Message. It's very sweet.
Yes. And then, of course, I bum rushed the show with all right, now that I got it, now that I got your attention.
Right.
And I told him, hey, we're going to be there on the 15th. I'm bringing your birthday present. Turns out he wasn't there.
Right.
So maybe he knew. Maybe that's why he didn't reply.
Yeah.
Or 13th, yeah.
Yeah. Well, plans change, gigs change.
But we dropped that off. And so I'll tell you what that is at a future date.
Right.
Once I know that it's in his hands. Because you never know, he could listen, and I don't want to ruin the surprise.
I don't want to spoil the surprise.
All right, so that was today, and there was a great group photo at the end.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah, with Grace was in
Twitter.
it.
Yep.
It was this has just been a great shooting Clerks experience.
Grace,
Love the new cut. Love everything about it. Just been having a good time and enjoying being involved in any way.
Grace is adorable because she's been hanging out with a lot of the shooting Clerks guys, And it's cute because they love the attention and she loves it. So it's kind of like a give and take. It's very sweet.
Well, after
And
we
it's
had the
exciting,
picture,
it's fun.
It was just her and I for a second and maybe like a handler or something. And I was like, thank you so much for giving us Kevin. And she said, it was my pleasure. And I said, I'll bet. And she laughed too.
Aww. She's so cute.
I don't think like she remembers us from his 45th birthday or whatever.
No.
But she might remember that I was Howard, so.
She might.
In which case, at least she knows I was.
She's very cute.
In good faith and good standing.
Right. She's in good spirits. She has a good attitude.
Yeah, she does. She's all pumped over France.
I know, right?
After just getting back.
I know.
She was wearing that fucking sweatshirt for like a month.
Did she have her Paris t-shirt on?
No, she had something else on, and I don't remember what the hell it was now. But it wasn't the Paris.
She looks adorable.
She is. She's
very sweet.
Still drives.
I know. She does.
Yep.
Good for her.
Also, we should say that we had a really great time because now we're recording over. This will be the last note, but we had a really great time with Mr. Bob Hawke's niece and nephew.
Yes, we did.
Jessica Hawke. I know there's another name in there.
I always say that
And
wrong.
Steve Hawke.
Right.
So you
And
guys
Steven.
were fucking hilarious. And I told that to Bob tonight when we saw him. I said, God, we had such a great time with your fucking...
Yeah, your niece and nephew.
Yeah, I said, I felt like, when I was talking to him, I felt like I was Kevin Smith and he was Andrew McElfresh because he kind of embarrasses easy.
Yeah.
So it was fun to kind of go to weird
Right.
places and kind of freak them out and stuff and embarrass them. But we had a great time.
I'm sure
and
Bob appreciated
And
that.
she's an amazingly sexy woman.
She really is.
Yeah, she kind of resembles a porn star, so I was busting on her
my
about
God
that.
almighty.
That she should start signing autographs as India Summer.
India Summer. I think
And
she's
she also
taller.
has that, and she's got that school marm thing.
I think
where
she's taller than India
She
Summer.
pulls the glasses down and looks
Yeah.
all stern. And all right, so thanks,
than
guys.
that-
we had such a great time with
Other
you.
than that, she's a lovely lady.
We had a great time talking with Vinny that first night too.
Vinny was so much fun, and I had never met Vinny.
Amazing,
before.
but amazing conversation about a bunch of
Really?
movies and some possible guests coming up on the show.
Yes.
And there was a point I thought he was going to kiss me. We were getting so close.
I
No,
know.
no, I'm
You
kidding.
guys were very close. He was
Yeah,
very...
well, it was more like the room, and like we were getting very serious
Right,
about
what
movie
you were
talk.
talking about. He's a really good listener,
Yes.
and he's just very like he appreciates you, so
Yes.
it's nice.
And we
Very cool
appreciate him.
friend.
And we have a great idea. We want to get him on the show for something. And he wants to. It's just that crossing that threshold, we have a great idea. We're hoping.
Yeah.
We're hoping we'll be a perfect match.
Right.
And get him in here. So,
Yep, but no more spoilers about that.
yeah. So, a lot of good.
Whoa,
Big
yeah.
yawn. A lot of good guests coming up.
Yeah.
Like the guest we have tonight,
I
who holds the
know.
Guinness Book of World Records for the most superheroes on a comic book cover. None other than Scott Koblish, who
Cool.
drew Deadpool. And, all right, now I'll start to give him a little bit of my intro. I guess we should
Yes.
end the Smed lines officially.
Officially.
Officially, the Smed lines are now over. We had such a... There's probably stuff we forgot to
Yeah,
talk about.
The,
but
the whole show's a sped lines.
yeah, not anymore.
It's very spacey.
This has been the Smith
And when you talk over
with
it,
Jeanne Holden.
you break the illusion.
Yeah. Oh shoot.
All right, so our guest today, Scott Koblish. Again, I said he was kind of like a scalp or some sort of like prize. I felt like I've been stalking, but only because when Joe Greshko, a.k.a. Pork Chop Murphy, and I started Bone Crushing Juggernaut, the original incarnation, which was a plain old podcast, archives can now be found on our SoundCloud site, which is our ThatMan Productions LLC SoundCloud site.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you're on SoundCloud, you type in ThatMan on Fatman, you can find the entire run
Oh, cool.
of Joe and I doing that show. But one of the first guests we thought that Joe thought he could get, because he went to high school with him, was the comic book artist and, all around
Right.
Morristown alum, Scott Koblish. So, but it never happened. It never materialized until.
I imagine he wouldn't have said yes. He seemed pretty.
I don't know. Well, it's 4 years later, and we finally got him.
I know.
I consider it some sort of personal justice.
Right. And he was okay with it right away. He was like, sure.
I think this was my joke from last time we recorded this, but I really think he spends the most of his time wondering, why am I on this stupid show?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Figure it out. Like,
why did I say yes?
What is this?
You can kind of hear his gears turning. But I still very much enjoyed the interview, especially towards the end. We have a really good talk about Chasing Amy.
Right.
I found to be enjoyable. And just finding out more about Guinness Book of World Records and stuff was cool. It's a good interview. I enjoyed it. And again, it's like a personal win. And we'd love to have him back on because we talk about, I ask him if he has any of his own IP in the works, and he does. And when that's published, we would love to have him back on.
And now he and Kevin have something in common with the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yes, yet another thing. Yes, so yes, 2 Guinness book mentions in the same fucking show. So it all works. See how happened? It's just weird how things work out in the Kevin universe.
So weird.
Weird things happen. There's strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Wrong movie.
It's so weird.
Yes. So weird.
Why are you doing that?
I don't know. I needed something.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think it's a good time that we bring on the actual interview with our guest. Here comes our interview with Mr. Scott Koblish. Guinness Book of World Records.
Yes.
Fucking holder and I wonder if that's a holder, recipient, laureate,
Yeah.
And also amazing comic book artist.
Yes.
His stuff is really good. So give it a look-see if you haven't already. You can see it on the cover of this podcast in brief. And here we go.
And now, here's our guest.
All right. I'm very pleased to bring this next guest on because it's so weird. I feel like it wasn't my fault that I feel like I've been stalking this guy for a long time. But it all goes back to the nascent days, the nascent baby step days of Bone Crushing Juggernaut, the podcast that I started with Pork Chop Murphy, otherwise known as Joe Greshko. And like, as we started this podcast, I dragged him into it. He really, it took him a little while to get his sea legs and figure out what it was that we were doing. And so at one point he realized that he knew someone who had some sort of fame from his past, and that was this guy, Scott Koblish. Now, when we started the show, this is like, we're talking way back.
Yeah.
And it was funny because over the course of the show, he kept saying, I'm going to get in touch with him. I'll get him on the show. And then, lo and behold, the guy broke the world record for most characters on a comic book as he was drawing for Deadpool.
Okay.
And I just felt like, for whatever reason, I didn't think that Joey was ever going to make that happen.
Right.
So then, starting another show, it's years later, it's a much different place down the line.
Right, and here we are.
When you asked me, you said, I can book Scott Koblish. I said, you have to book Scott Koblish, just because I feel like I've been chasing this guy forever. So, and to find out that he's a Kevin Smith fan on top of that, I'm so happy. So,
isn't everybody though?
I want to welcome to the show here on ThatMan on Fatman, the master artist Scott Koblish. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
I hope you heard all that.
I did.
So, do you remember Joe Greshko?
I do, from like high school, right?
Yes, exactly. Back in the day.
Now, did you go to Morristown High School in New Jersey?
I did. I went to Morristown High. Yeah, a long time ago, but yeah.
We record this only only miles from.
Right. I drive by like Morristown High School every morning. Yeah.
Oh, Early Street? Is that what you drive past there? Or you drive down, was it Morris? What is it, 24, right?
Well, Old 24 or whatever they're calling it now. I don't even know.
Yeah.
We
they call it something different now?
Well, we had moved away for quite some time, too.
Yeah,
and
then
came back to the area.
It's like Speedwell Avenue, I think.
Yeah, where the ducks and geese are.
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
little
yeah,
pond
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That street.
Where the ducks
totally inside.
Where the ducks and all those things are, remember?
Yeah, there's those ponds. Yeah, and there's a statue of, what is it, Lafayette or Washington? Lafayette, yeah.
So did you always know that you wanted to be a comic book artist, or were you just a kid who could draw, or how did that work?
Well, I started drawing at 4, but by 7 I knew I wanted to draw comic books. So, yeah, I've known for a long time.
Wow.
And what was the way you knew? Like, were you laying at panels or like?
Well, I just started reading them and it made sense. Like they had the credits in there in the comics, so it looked like it was done by people. So that made a big difference to me.
Saw
and then I think partly, I don't know why I thought I could do it. Because I've been thinking back on it. I think my uncle knew somebody who worked in the field. I think he knew Bob Sharon, who's a colorist. For Marvel, and the comics were kind of always around his place. And then I guess my mother, we found the Kubert School. The Kubert School opened up in Dover there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I went to the Saturday classes.
Now, that was the other thing I remember Joe saying, like either that you went to Dover Business College or something like that, but you were one of those guys who actually managed to make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to the Kubert School. Yeah, it was Saturday classes. Joe used to teach it, and then Mike Chen took it over after about 3 years. And Mike Chen is sort of in charge of the school now. And I did all that stuff. It was lucky. Joe was really adamant about it being a job and not just some sort of fan thing. So it was nice to have that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you knew that. Did anyone discourage you? Like, I always hear the old, I think it's the Neil Adams story where, he wanted to get into comic books and everyone was like, don't do this. Don't.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? You have talent or whatever. And
Joe was really determined to let you know that it wasn't an easy job to get into and that you probably wouldn't get into it. But I was really determined, so.
It's so weird because that's the one thing that I loved about Kevin's show, Fatman on Batman. Mm-hmm. Originally, the original layout, I mean, I like what it is now too, but the original shows were sort of, we're going to walk through this comic book artist, this whoever, this voice actor, and we're going to peel back sort of the layers of how this person became a success. Mm-hmm. Even though you didn't really see that, but I mean, I saw that each week, and I would even encourage the kids. I'd be like, you got to listen to this show because these kids are telling you, these guys are telling you each week how to do it. And every one of them does say, the ingredients really are that the people knew that that's what they wanted, whatever it was, and they were determined.
Right, and it wasn't like a fallback.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to have something to fall back on.
It was never.
This was the thing.
It was a passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had a plan B, no.
No, and that's I think that's amazing and cool to not have that.
But to be able to draw is such an amazing skill.
Definitely is.
Like, I don't know what happened, like, at age, I guess, I want to say middle school somewhere, I like, my artistic ability never progressed beyond that. It's very cartoony, or yeah, it was very cartoony. I couldn't really get beyond that. I can't draw with depth or anything like what you guys do.
Well, there's a whole bunch of cartoonists that can't. So
that is true. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule.
Never let it stop Scott Adams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get that too, but I don't have that either. I haven't unlocked some character. That passion that would that would make me want to do a stick figure thing.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of like being an astronaut after wanting to be an astronaut when you're a kid, so it is kind of rare.
I have found my passion. I mean, we're sitting here doing it, so
yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been more auditory. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed talking. But I've always also loved people that, the ability to draw, because I can't. So I look for guys to hire, because if I can't do it, you need someone who can.
Yeah, no, delegate. It's important.
Yes, exactly. You got the balance of power.
Right.
You're out in L.A. now.
I do live in Los Angeles, yeah.
When did you make the big move?
I moved out here in 2000 to work with Stan Lee at Stanley Media.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The man himself.
Yeah.
Episodes. Yeah. I loved working for Stan. He was the best boss I ever had.
Really? Okay, great. I'm so glad to hear that, because I'm always afraid that it's going to be like some horror story, like, God, he was a fucking cocksucker. You know what I mean?
I've never heard.
Stan's legitimately that way. He's
That's
excitable,
awesome.
and he's happy, and he's a really, the thing about having somebody who's on your side that you're working with, like, that's really important. So,
I mean, Kevin loves the guy, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Put him in movies and continues to do so. And now everyone does.
Well, Stan's legitimately that way. I mean, he's just a happy guy, and he does what he loves, and that makes a big difference in your life, as you know. And it's important to have somebody who's excitable and excited about the things that you're doing when you're an artist. So, I would go in and I would have a meeting with him, and then just the fact that he's excited about it can really carry you for the next month, because you just sit down and you're drawing for the next month. So,
yeah.
It's crushing hours. It's like 100 hours a week. So
wow.
It's really tough,
And then you go in and you show him his work, and he's like, Excelsior.
Well, sometimes he'd have real withering criticism, but he was excited about it, so that was.
Hey, spider friend, I'm so glad you came in here to show me your work. I've been working on my Stan Lee forever. I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have a Stan Lee? You must if you worked with him. Come on, it's an audio experience here.
Yeah. For me to summon it up. All
right. If you feel the need, if it comes up, because we're going to talk about him for just a minute here, because his wife did just pass.
Oh, she did.
Joni.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. And Kevin talked about it, and then he did the putting his hands and feet in the. Did you happen to go to that? The Grumman
No, I was working that.
He's like,
I just sit at my desk and draw all day long. I hear about the real world, but I don't really participate.
Well, I don't know if it's the real world per se, but yeah. So Stan Lee apparently put his hands and feet down in there, and we were talking about it on the show, and it was like so close to his wife's death. But I know in my heart, I'm like, that she would be like, you better fucking go up there and do that.
Yeah. I wonder if there was a piece of him that didn't want to because of that. I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could hear her British accent yelling at him, Aww. You better go and put your hands in the...
Yeah.
And then Kevin told the story about how they were doing an interview for something, I guess not too long before she passed. But she was like, oh, the poems that this man writes, the writer that this man is, just like, it's more than comic books.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, but hey, comic books.
Yeah, but what a life, though, right?
But what Stan Lee really did was, first, he sort of saw the need to become like the ambassador of comics.
Mm-hmm.
But then along the way, he became he cracked the code. He learned how to market himself. He could be paid for being him,
right,
essentially.
For being Stan Lee.
Yeah, he could go anywhere, and I'm Stan Lee.
Right.
Yeah, I guess there's a few people that do that. It's a sort of a force of personality or a sense of charisma that they have, that they feel comfortable with themselves in front of a large audience.
Absolutely.
When I was a kid, you played Dungeons and Dragons, and
oh yeah, now you're talking my language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, charisma is a power in Dungeons and Dragons, but as a kid, I was like, well, that's not a power. Superman, flying or invulnerability, that's a superpower. But really, when you get down to it, charisma is one of the only powers that people can actually have. You can make your body stronger. You can lift like 200 pounds, but if you can get 400 people to work for you, that's really the most important thing,
And I liked how in D&D the score was charisma, as opposed to beauty or I don't know, another word.
Yeah,
because
sure.
it's more. It's like it's beyond just how you appear. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you can exert your ability to rouse a crowd. Like, we need to take the wall. That kind of crap.
Yeah, sure.
A leader is very charismatic.
Stuff is super important. Yeah.
As I dismissed my things with that crap. You caught me being vulnerable. So you're a D&D player. See, that is the realm of geek. Comic book right now is cool. You know what I mean? Like, anybody can be superhero-y. But
I should say that I played D&D as a kid once or twice. I mean, I'm just enough to familiarize myself.
Well, chances
I have
are, though,
friends that they play D&D regularly, so it's not me though.
but if you held a D20, chances are you're a nerd. Few could make that claim. And what I mean is, as you backed out of that so quickly, only goes to prove that is still the nerd zone that is not cool.
No, it wasn't that it's not cool. It's just that I don't want people to think that I'm way cooler than I pretend to be.
Oh yeah, sure. I think you just James Gunned that somehow.
Yeah, I screwed it up somewhere.
So that's all right.
Looking at your comic book bona fides, I mean, obviously Deadpool, which is amazing, some amazing stuff.
I love Deadpool.
And you got that cover. Was that planned, we're going to break the Guinness book, or was it let's put as many in as we can? Oh my God, there's a record.
Well, yeah, that's more the second part. Is I just wanted to do that cover. I don't know why it popped into my head. I was talking with a friend about
it's Deadpool.
I found out that Deadpool was going to get married, and then I was talking with a friend about covers, and there was an interior spread page where Bouncing Boy and Duo Damsel are getting married. And I really liked that spread. I thought, I should do something like that. And then I thought, well, they married Spider-Man in a baseball stadium. So I thought, I could put everybody in the baseball stadium. And I just did up a sketch and sent it over to my editor. And they were like, if you're serious, you can do it. And I was like, okay.
Well,
but
obviously I'm serious. I did all this work.
Yeah, it took me about 9 days to do. And then when I sent it in, I wish I had known that they were going for the Guinness. I would have put a few more characters in. I had no idea. So,
but
I probably would have put in another 30.
I was going to say, is it still in, or did it already get knocked out?
No one's knocked it out yet.
Okay, cool. Because for some reason I thought maybe Joey said that, like it's in and it'll be out, and maybe he said that because he knows comics.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
He's still a big collector, but no, you've had it since 2014, so that's good for you, sir.
Somebody's welcome to try to beat it. I don't even know.
Now. The email response I saw from Jeanne was like, oh my God, you knew Kevin's birthday to the day.
Yeah, it's in August, right?
So August 5th.
Yeah. August 5th, yeah.
Speaking of Guinness Book of World Records, they're going for the Jay and Silent Bob cosplay world record in Red Bank.
All right. That's really crazy.
Yeah.
Like the most.
Yeah, what's crazy is us two nuts will be there.
I know.
Oh, we're gonna be there too. A lot of trench coats. I'll bet.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeanne found a nice wait around kind of it. She found this really nice long shirt, right?
It's like a long shirt, and it was it's lighter, but it looks like a trench coat. I'm like, oh my God, how did I do that? So I don't have to go. I don't have to go into the 100-degree weather.
Should we go charcoal or burnt cork? I mean, for your beard.
It's gonna be so much fun. That's
oh my
God!
Be a fun day. But you're not at all hefty.
No, we'll have to work on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
But don't work on that if you can.
Pad you out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
no,
she couldn't even gain that much weight that fast if she tried.
There's a lot of people that will be you just go with what you have.
Yeah,
you do you.
You're making the attempt, but
right.
But it's funny though because we do this show, so it's about Kevin, and so we're always dialed in, but a few weeks on, we were just suggesting, out into the ether, like, I wonder if you dress as Kevin, does that count towards, Silent Bob? Right. And people were like, what if I go as Blunt Man? The Blunt Man variant.
Yeah.
Apparently, because it's Guinness, they're very...
No,
there's rules. Yeah.
They're very stickler. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When we got the Guinness for the cover, they took out 16 of us. Guys, I put all the editors and the writers and the artists on the book. I put all those people in, and they took us all out.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because they weren't like... Okay.
Yeah, they weren't superhero characters, yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, yes, they were, but not really.
Oh, okay, you hid yourselves in the wedding. Okay, it took me a minute to catch up. Okay, I'm like, but you were in the credits.
Yeah.
You were. I didn't realize. I thought you meant like in the credits, but no, you meant in the actual painting.
So they could not be included as superheroes.
Yes.
Cheater.
Who inked that particular cover?
Oh, I inked it. I wouldn't subject anybody else to that. I was bad enough that I subjected the colorist to that.
I mean, who was the colorist? That's what I meant. I got my my.
Oh yeah, Val Staples did the color on that, and the person that flatted it. I've forgotten his name.
Because it's very colorful.
It's beautiful.
So, yeah, the color on that thing. I think it took Val a number of days. I felt really bad because he doesn't get any extra money for it. You know what I mean? So
would that be you? You guys are in the lower left-hand corner, perhaps, because that looks like the least superhero-y amount of people.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of us in the lower,
it's like the nerd corner. I mean, it really does. It looks like a cadet reunion.
Yeah, I put Jerry and Brian and Mike Hawthorne and Jordy Blair and a whole bunch of other people.
Very cool.
Man, well, I mean, that's a very cool thing. You'll never have to worry about drinking in a bar with that kind of thing. At least not at a con.
I would hope, yeah.
Hey, I hold the Guinness Book of World Records. Somebody buy that guy a beer.
There you go. Does it work like that? I'll have to try it
out. Maybe at a con.
Maybe.
If you want to never have to worry about buying a drink again, apparently all you have to do is get on TV, like regularly, like have a show. Yeah, like Mork for Mork.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he never had to worry. Kevin Smith never has to worry.
Right.
The guys from Impractical Jokers, they never have to worry anymore.
Right. They don't have to buy their own drink?
Never. They will never have to, as long as they're recognized.
Right.
They'll never have to worry.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that that's like there's some place where they make that, there's a stamp or something.
Right.
I'm celebrity now. You never have to pay for drinks. Where do I dream my coupon?
See, but now if they're celebrity, they could afford to buy everybody a drink, so it should be the other way.
True.
Well, not all celebrities are wealthy.
And that is true as well.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
So just buy your own drink and get over it and don't worry about it.
That is sort
Everybody just buy your own drink.
That's like the Twilight Zone type fame too. Is when you're, God, that's like infamy. Everybody knows who I am, but shit.
Oh, I bet you that's a lot of people.
Well, that's what they would call internet fame, I think.
Yeah. No, but not if you're like a YouTuber, apparently, or something like that. Apparently, you get paid a lot from like advertisements. And
I don't know.
No, they do.
I'd have to see the bank statements.
Yeah.
Don't believe that?
Don't believe the hype, as they say. I mean, we're kind of in the business, sweetie.
True, but it's certainly a level of fame I don't have. So
yeah, I mean, we're actually doing a documentary film on podcasting. So we've met and sat down with a lot of podcasters and talked, and as it was Anthony Cumia?
Yeah.
Essentially related. Who was it? Oh fuck! No, I can't think of the other guy. The guy who used to do Adam Carolla.
Adam Carolla.
Yeah, he said the secret to having a successful podcast is first you go out and you become famous. And then you start a podcast, and you'll get a lot of listeners.
Because you're already famous.
Exactly.
You already have a listenership.
See, that's the jaded side of fame and podcasting.
That is, you have a listenership already. So having a podcast is just another way of pushing yourself further out into the universe.
Soon, every comic book artist is going to need a podcast.
Right. Scott Koblish will have one after the show.
We'll have to analyze your Q rating, sir. Do you have any IP ideas of your own that are either out there or that you're working on?
Yes, there's a book that I'm working on right now that comes out in June, I think, of next year, May of next year, and it's
Is it independent?
It's independent. It comes out through Chronicle Books, though.
Gotcha.
So, but it's I don't know if I should talk about it right now.
Okay,
But
that's fine. That's fine. If you'd like to come back on, we'll definitely have you back.
Please.
Oh yeah, maybe that would be good.
That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
when I get closer to it, I'd love to push it. That'd be great. Yeah, I want people to see it.
Great. Let's talk about a little bit how you're a Kevin fan and how you fell into that little hole. Obviously, you're from Jersey because we talked about you going to Morristown High.
Yeah, he's only like a couple months younger. I think younger than I am.
Yeah,
because I was born in May, so
1970 or
1970. Yeah.
So
Okay,
when
so
in
you're
May?
about the same age.
May 28th.
So you're like you're 28 days older or younger than me.
Yeah, so you're older.
I was born on April 30th.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 1970. And 1970 is the best year to be born, as Jeanne will attest.
It really is.
keep
I
banging
was
into
born
the
in
mic.
November of 1970.
Yes.
Oh, very good. All
and
right.
Kevin was born in August 5th of 1970.
Wow, look at us. We're like the November 70.
But again, we were talking yesterday with Nick as we were recording another show, and it does kind of matter in that the nostalgia and the polls that, like, when Kevin's talking about various things, he can go back to the time when there was 2, 4, 7, 9, 11, and 13. Those are your channels.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, VHS. What VHS ones? No, not VHS.
There was like a
VHF?
35 you could get on UHF, and maybe a
yeah,
60
UHF.
something.
60 something. Yeah.
Yeah, you could kind of dial in if the weather was good and whatever. And
Right.
if you were in New York, you could have WHT, which was some sort of weird quasi cable box or something. I don't know what it was, but they played adult films at night. I knew that.
Really?
Oh, I didn't know that. I wish that would have changed my life.
Yeah, my uncle.
Why didn't we know that? Why
you know
did
how
you
I knew
know?
that? A very creepy and uncomfortable moment in my youth. I was old enough to know, and my uncle didn't think about it or didn't care, and he started talking to my dad about them. Hey, they have these movies on at night. And I heard every word, and I'm cringing. But like I'm as a kid, I'm down on the floor, like, so I'm literally on the floor, like on my front, like with my arms crooked and facing the TV.
Oh, okay.
And they're behind me on the couch, so I don't see them at all.
You just hear them
I just
talking
hear it,
about the movies.
and I wish I could burrow into the earth at that moment. The one place I did not want to be was in that room, hearing that conversation.
What was your dad saying?
I
about
think
it?
he kind of got it. Was trying to cut it as short as possible. I really remember it made an impact. The fact that I could talk
Because
about
your
it.
dad seems like he didn't seem like that.
Oh
type
no,
that
he
wants to
wasn't.
talk about
And
that.
especially
with another man.
and me in the room. He wanted to burrow out too. It's like, son, I'm behind you. Start burrowing.
They're going on a tangent now. About
I'm
the
sorry.
movies.
Well, it's
No,
growing
no,
up in
funny.
it's growing up in
funny.
that area, and Kevin
Yeah.
grew up in that area as well. So there's a lot of touchstones.
Right.
Yeah, well, Jersey in the 70s and 80s was kind of weird. So yeah, it was.
You got that right.
It's always a suburb of either New York or Philadelphia.
Yeah. I grew up in northern New Jersey, so New York was my touchstone. But my grandparents lived they lived down near Red Bank, so I would go visit them, and it was more. We could get the Philadelphia channels, so it was kind of weird. It was like a surreal, it was almost like New Jersey, but it was the New Jersey I was aware of, but it was like different because it was Philadelphia centric. It was really weird.
Do you follow Comic Book Men at all?
I have watched the show a couple times, yeah.
So you know who Walter is, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So Walter, he. Oh shit! I just sidetracked myself. It's going to come back to me. What were you saying? I'm sorry to cut you off. We'll reframe.
Oh,
that
me? No, you were talking about Walter. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. No. I cut you off before that. I interrupted you with. Oh, it just came to me. It just came to me.
I don't even remember what I was talking.
So it just came back. Walter told on one episode of like he got to go on a magical journey to a place called, what was it? Was it Heroes? I can't remember the name of the damn comic book store we had. Was it
Heroes World, probably,
Heroes
right?
World,
The
yes.
one in Morristown.
Yes, because it was one of the first ever specifically comic book shops.
That was one of my local comic shops.
Yes.
Yeah, I would go to Heroes World. Yeah.
Yeah, that and Fat Moose, right?
Yes, Fat Moose. I met Fat Moose when I was much younger. I had never met anybody that way. Like, he was very much like when I met him, he was very much like the comic book guy from The Simpsons. So
he has not changed.
Has he not changed? Okay.
And his sort of store and/or business has moved from place to place over time, like spot. It's like now it's like in some upper story of some building. It's only open a few days a week.
Where?
Okay. It used to be in Murder Mall, or what was it, the Morris County Mall? There.
Yes.
Oh my God.
There was a mall. Someone had died. Some girl had been kidnapped.
The Kadadich murders. Holy
a girl
fuck!
got killed.
You know, here's what's even weirder. I went to school with their cousin, whose last name was Kadadich.
Really?
Yeah, Bonnie Kadadich.
Wow.
This poor girl was like, she got a lot of shit because of it.
Because of her.
Because of the last name.
Oh.
Yeah, because she had the last name.
That sucks. Yeah, and that's still there. That creepy mall's there.
Yeah. Well, the creepy mall is there, but it's not really because now it's what are the shops there?
Well, it's all like closing down, like the Walmart closing
It's
down.
Like being bulldozed as we speak.
But it should have before.
I had the Twinplex. There was like 2 movie theaters. That was the big thing that took away from there was a triplex in Morristown that had small screen, and then the two movie theater took away from the triplex.
Right.
So whenever I hear people complain about like the giant movie theaters, I'm like, well, the medium-sized movie theaters destroyed the smaller movie theaters first. So
I have a very nostalgic poll about the triplex in Morristown.
Yeah, the triplex.
Yeah, like when. So like we had moved away during the AT&T divestiture. This really dates things.
Sure.
So we were New York Tel. My family moved to Orlando. It was supposed to be 5 years because that's how long they figured this big. And the divestiture was essentially they accused AT&T of being a monopoly. I'm just telling listeners out there. And so back then they busted up the bells. We ended up living in Orlando for 2 years, but when we came back, we moved to this area. The first movie I saw was Raiders of the Lost Ark in that triplex. And
really?
It totally blew my mind.
Now, was that at that Morris County Mall, that creepy mall?
No, it was in Morristown. It was like, it's over where, it's actually where Joey lived a lot with his mom as a kid.
Really?
It's across from the courthouse there, yeah.
Yeah, it's around over that area. It was.
Oh my gosh.
Shit, I'm trying to think what's there now. Now it's like political row.
Well, the courthouse is there now.
Yeah, now it's all political row and restaurants. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's lawyers and restaurants.
Oh, you had to be there, guys.
And banks. That's all we have in Morristown.
Had to be there.
Yes, we're taking them all back to Morristown. Classic days.
Don't you remember those days? They don't even remember.
Hey, I mean, it's very weird that you and I saw Aliens in the same theater, but we didn't know each other.
We did. And we saw E.T., too.
Yes, and both saw it at drive-in.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's like
and
nostalgia.
Scott Koblish, too, was probably there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. I probably saw it at the triplex. Yeah.
I just remember that movie blowing my mind, as a kid.
But did you see the outfield at the Menon Arena?
Oh, God, how could you not?
I had friends who went to that.
And the Hooters, right? Weren't the Hooters there too?
He said he had friends that were there at the Hooters.
Were the Hooters show there
and
too?
The Hooters
yeah, the Hooters show, yeah. And the Hooters were the backing band for a lot of Cyndi Lauper's stuff.
That's so funny.
And then Grace Under Pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see those guys. No.
That blew through. I think that was.
The Hooters.
I think that was
totally
Brendan Byrne.
Yeah,
back
the
in the day.
Totally outdo them.
Yeah.
No, I heard there's a convention at the Menon Arena now.
Yeah, there is. There was just the New Jersey Comic Fest.
Yes, there was. Yes, they've done it a couple times now too. And it's a nice feeling.
Does, and it did well too.
It still has comics, which is good.
this might be the last year because I don't know how long the Men in Arena is going to be there.
They're starting to bulldoze.
Are they getting
put up
rid
a
of
parking
the
lot.
entire thing?
Oh, they are?
Well, they're getting rid of aspects of it. They used to actually make speed sticks and right guards, and that factory is literally being bulldozed.
But the ice rink is still there.
But it's all kind of becoming like a mall. It's becoming like a Starbucks and a super ShopRite.
Well, just like everything else.
Yeah. How'd we get here?
I have no idea. We were talking about
we're Clerks kids. We're bitching about life.
We're talking about the Hooters, and I know
that's right.
And I know Kevin likes the Hooters.
Well, I don't know if he likes Hooters or not. I mean, but he wasn't in the area for that.
Yeah.
We might have missed out on that particular show.
The outfield. Yep.
The outfield. My God. You might stop the show with that stuff. We were going at a nice pace, and then you had to throw the outfield in there.
I know.
All right, we want to take a moment to talk about Death Wish Coffee. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor and get over to deathwishcoffee.com. And there you can buy the strongest coffee known to man without a prescription.
The world's strongest coffee ever.
Yes, as proudly displayed on my wife's sweatshirt over there.
Yes, on my body, on my mug,
yes,
on my K-cups.
Yes, and you'll know them by their telling sign of the skull and crossbones.
It's
that tells
so
you
good.
Exactly what you're in for. That used to be the international symbol for poison, but now it is the symbol for good damn coffee.
It's awesome. Without milk, with milk, you don't really need it because it's strong.
But
it's
not bitter?
Not bitter. So you don't even need milk. You don't even need sugar, but you can add it if you'd like. It's just really, really the perfect, strongest, most awesome coffee.
Become a junkie of Death Wish, just like the Anderson Council. And
we got him hooked.
Again, deathwishcoffee.com. Thank you very much.
Enjoy it.
I want to take this time to mention to you www.audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. That's right, www.audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. That's one word, conjunctified. Go there. Sign up for your free 30-day free trial. Sign up. Get a free book. A free audiobook, because you don't have to go through no tedious reading. You don't have to turn no fucking pages. You don't have to do any of that bullshit. You get in your car, you put on your headphones, and you are listening to a book. You're taking a magical journey into a fictitious land. You're expanding your mind, all when you're stuck in traffic. Fucking amazing. Audiobooks. These are the wave of the future. And you can get in for free for 30 days. A free trial. And when you get your free trial, you can download a copy of Tough Shit by our Savior, Kevin Smith. That's right. Our Lord and Savior, Kevin Smith, has left words for us to follow in our lives. And we can get it for free just by signing up to audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. That's right. audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. Thank you. Please sign up. You'll be very happy you did.
You're going to force me to use sound effects now. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to go to this one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess for me, Kevin Smith, the only thing that I can think of, so when I was living in New York, the movie that came out was, what was the one with it was about all the comic books.
Chasing Amy? Or was it
Mallrats? So Chasing Amy came out, and it was really kind of strange because I lived downtown. I lived on Houston Street, and I'd just been there was a bar on Houston Street across from my building that was it was a lesbian bar. I forget the name of it. It's like Kitty Cat or something like that.
Oh my God! It's like right out of fucking. It's right out of the movie.
Yeah, and what happened was I'd been in that bar for Xena night. A friend of mine dragged me there, and that was fun. But it was just a lesbian bar. Like at the door, the bouncer was like, "This place isn't for you," and I was like, "Don't worry." And I had been.
Hey, I'm Alice. I'm in construction.
Yeah. I was like, I was an inker at the time, and
fucking tracer.
Yeah, so I went to see that movie. Like, I went to go see it at I forget, the Angelica or whatever was on Houston Street.
That's the Angelica.
I walked down the block to go see, someone told me that or I'd seen some advertisement for it. I hadn't seen Clerks, but like I'd seen little snippets of Clerks, so I was like, oh, that's by the guy who did Clerks. So I go in, I sit down in the movie theater. There weren't a lot of people. It was in the middle of the day. And I'm watching the movie, and it's like, first off, it's about like it's about comics, and it's really weird. And then all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of people I know, like Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada. And so I'm watching this film, and I'm completely like, whoa.
And it's taking place in a comic book con, you know what I mean? Like,
and then of course the girl is like, well, she takes him to like her favorite bar, which I'm like, that's the bar I was just at. So the surprise where like she's bi. Like, I was like, well, of course she's bi. She's in that lesbian bar that's across the street from me. So I was sitting there, and I was just watching this thing, and it was really surreal. I'm just like, I was having like a whole bunch of moments where I was like, I don't understand how this is like, I kept looking behind me to see if someone was punking me, you know what I mean? Because it was just so tight in with all the things that I've been doing and all the things I've been seeing. And it was just really surreal experience for me.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then, of course, when I was an anchor, it turned my job from an invisible job into a punchline.
Yes.
So that really sucked for like the longest time. Like, I guess that lasted about 10 years that I heard that line.
Tracer.
About this thing, yeah.
Scott Mosier.
Yeah, so that was always a pain in the ass. But eventually, I just moved away from inking anyway. So
I'm actually leaning over my right shoulder to now acknowledge and nod at my tracer guy figure.
There you go.
Which they actually made.
So,
and it's the guy who yells tracer, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool because recently I've gone back and looked at Chasing Amy again, and God, that movie was so ahead of its time. In cast, in concept, in
well, it was. I mean, I
subject
thought
matter.
that the interesting thing for me is that it was a problem play, and most people don't really understand problem plays. They get all worked up about the problem as opposed to the way that the problem is being talked about. So like people get upset about Shylock, but of course the main point of that one is to take all the problems and set it up and try and figure out, if one character takes it to the inevitable conclusion, So, so it was a problem play, and I thought it was actually a problem that I kind of recognized at that time, that most of the men that I knew of our age in our 20s, they had all had their head in books and comics, and they really hadn't had their head anywhere else.
Yes.
Of course, any of the girls that were interested in any of the smart girls that were out there had gone out and had an experienced life by the time that they were in their mid-20s. So, like, there was a disconnect in the dating pool. Do you know what I mean? Like the character is really thrown by her sexual experience, but really it shouldn't have been that way. The problem really was that he was in his late 20s and had not had that kind of experience.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really interesting to see the dynamic there. You just have to look at that one as a problem play.
And what's so interesting about it too is when you find out more about the origin of the story, it really doesn't have to do so much with that. I'm glad that you cite that it's a problem play, because Kevin himself, he says it wasn't about that, someone was a lesbian, but he was dating. It was actually the girl who plays the lead in that at the time, and she had been to Bali and had an experienced life, and he was just this guy, this guy who just got lucky out of New Jersey and is now directing a movie and in Hollywood, directing movies and in Hollywood, and still feels unaccomplished and small inside. and he's measuring. He's doing a little too much measuring, and he says that doing the movie actually got him through. That was the catharsis, like going through that script, got him over the problem. He didn't do that, afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was also because Mosier was having what would now probably be called an emotional affair with the girl who, I can't remember what she directed, but another indie director who was a lesbian. And, everybody knew that it wasn't going anywhere, but like Mosier was definitely crushing,
Sure.
So that aspect also made it into that script. And plus they loved comics and they loved all that shit. So they incorporated it into pop culture. But you know what's weird about that bar? And I know what you're talking about, but however, I know that all the interiors in Red Bank.
All the interiors were in Red Bank?
So all the interiors are shot in Red Bank. Yeah. So and it's so funny now because like I'm just in and around Red Bank more often nowadays, wonder why. And I'll like stop and go, "Oh yeah, they shot this on this street right here."
Sure.
The other cool thing about that and we've fallen into this group, and Bob Hawke, who is in that movie, if just for a moment, if you recall, I can't remember who the black character was, but there's a moment where he calls Ben Affleck up, and they're just like goofing around in his office, and Bob Hawke in the background is kind of goofing off with him. Bob was very integral to that movie being made. He was also the guy who was in the theater when Clerks first debuted, and no one was there. And had it not been for Bob, that no one would know who Kevin was or Clerks was. But Bob talks about actually seeing the and he's gay. Bob is and has been out for a very long time. But talked about seeing the script pages coming out of the printer and being like, "Are you going to do it? Are you going to go there? Are you actually going to have him do this?" And being very impressed with Kevin as a writer that he would go on that ground so early. Like now maybe it's commonplace, but back then, talk about male bisexuality, or even male homosexuality was very, very, off.
It was, for our generation especially. It was. I mean, things were transitioning, but it was piece by piece, So.
Well, as a now out bi male, I could tell you, yes, it sucked growing up in that environment.
It did. Yeah.
So, and I don't mean to bring it there as my own personal agenda, but I am glad you brought this movie.
No, it's completely right. Yeah.
Well, Jeanne had to tip out the door only because she had to go get her daughter. She had to go parachute in.
All right. I gotta go soon too. So.
Well, I'm so glad I finally got to sit down and chat with you. It's so funny, the whole Joey thing. Joey actually, we've been friends forever, and it was like at a point in my life where I was in the midlife crisis. I had a lot of shit going on. Podcasting kind of saved my life.
Yeah.
Joe really didn't want to do it. And I dragged him along, and God bless him. He kept at it for a good year or two at it with me before he's like, "Dude, this is your thing. You got your other show now. It's a hit. Move on." But I owe Joe a debt of gratitude, and I'm very glad that, in some way, I was able to make this happen finally.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
Yes, it's nice to meet you too, and I can't wait till. Joey, I finally did it. I got him on the show.
Hey, Joe.
Jeanne had to do it. We still talk. Thank you so much for coming on, man. This is Mr. Scott Koblish, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
Have a great day.
You
Take care.
Oh, yeah, you still have day left, don't you?
I do, yeah. It's still yeah.
So you're in L.A. proper?
Uh-huh. I live in Los Angeles, yeah.
So you could go bother Kevin. He's
I guess I could, yeah. I know. I met Mark Bernardin once or twice.
Mark Bernardin, he's been on the show a couple times. He's a great guy. I really like Mark.
Nice.
He's been very good to us. It's so funny. When the first time he was on, the Larry Wilmore show was on. And I was like, you have to get on the nightly show. It was...
Right.
I was like, he's a blurred. You're a blurred. You have to get on his show. And like within a couple months, the show was off the air. I was like, ah. But I did manage to get in the audience, stand up, and have Larry Wilmore think I was crazy because I was like, blurred, Mark Bernard, and blah, blah, blah. Got to get him on the show. My heart was at the right space, but I'm sure they thought I was a kook. All right, man. We'll leave it there. It's a laugh.
All right.
Talk to you soon. And seriously, when you have that when you get that other comic out,
when it comes out, yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Especially if it's something you're proud of. That's definitely always cool.
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. I look forward to it.
All right, thanks, Scott.
See you soon.
Have a good day. Take care.
And there you have Mr. Scott Koblish. You want to thank him again?
Yes.
And would very much like to have him back on when you put out your new stuff, sir. So,
yes.
And thank you for coming on and putting up with us and figuring out what the fuck this show is. Because we are nuts. And that's another thing. I felt like every time I swore, he cringed a little. I don't think I don't think he's a natural.
Ooh.
He's not like Kevin and I, foul-mouthed bastards
You know what?
who like to push the envelope of profanity.
We're grown-ups. I don't know. I mean, he was.
It's just fun. I don't think anything of it anymore. And like in many respects now, it's like, hey, those fucking swear words pay for our bills.
Right. Right.
It's part of what we do. It's what I do.
For sure.
Yes. Did you enjoy the video for David Hasselhoff's song on the Guardian?
I totally did.
If you get a chance, folks, check out the video for what it's like Satin Hoffelfroth or whatever.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, and they're all crazy because they're all in it. Like Rooker's insane.
He's so
like you
funny.
won't recognize him at first, although
Right.
Jeanne did.
I totally did because it's his face.
Yeah.
He just has that face. Rooker's amazing.
It's on the bonus.
So you have to
it's
look
on
at all
bonus
the bonus
features
stuff.
if you.
Yeah.
Like we get it through Amazon, so
yeah,
it's on
and
the
they're
bonus
fun
feature.
too. The bonus stuff. A lot of cute things in there.
I'm just I'm sick of buying unless it's a media that I need to get signed or something. I'm just sick of something I really truly love, like all Kevin's stuff. I have hard copies.
Yeah.
Of. But for the most part, like I'd rather not have to have something I have to lug around anymore.
Right.
You know, and store and move.
I know. There's too much stuff.
Yeah, just too much clutter in the world.
Right. Trying to get rid of stuff, not add to it.
Well, the cool thing about nowadays and having interviews in the bank,
right,
is we can actually plug our next show and our next guest, and we are very honored by our next guest.
It's not a secret?
No, it will not be a secret. I can already share it because we've already recorded the interview. I've heard you. It's already in the can. It's safe. And, of course, I'm probably jinxing myself, but no, I don't think I am.
Okay.
So, our next guest is a little off the beaten Kevin path, except for the fact that Kevin has spoken recently that he really does enjoy the show.
Right.
And so, therefore, in and of itself, that qualifies him. However, you can hear me clicking out of the mouth.
However, click.
Yeah, I'm stalling for time. Network Time Killers with Dave Letterman. Now,
David Letterman's coming back.
This show is a hit show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cult hit.
Yes, it's a very.
We talk about it a lot. Every week we play some cuts that we warm up to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, I'll wet your whistle with a little of...
Show me what you got!
Yes, that's right. And a little...
Yes.
All right.
That's planning for failure, Morty. Even dumber than regular planning. Balls. Because if I let you make me nervous, then we can't get swifty.
Stop saying it like it's a thing. You made it up.
Hey, Morty, could you lick my balls?
All right.
Swifty.
Now, in that very episode, this character does play a very big role.
Yes, he does.
Bigger than Norm. It's like one of his breakout episodes. And that would be, we are so proud to have on from Rick and Morty, Mr. Phil Hendry, who you know better as Principal Vagina. That's right.
Yes.
I can proudly say that Principal Vagina, no relation,
no relation.
we'll be on the show next week, or
hysterical.
on our next episode that drops.
And it's cool because Kevin did interview 3.
Yes, a bunch of them. I don't know that he was there, though.
On the IMDb boat.
Yes.
I don't think he was there, though. I don't think Phil Hendry
And
was
what's
there.
cool is they talk about how, as writers, they actually go into what is our hero's journey and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, and Kevin was like, wow.
Yeah.
He found that interesting. So that's why. And Kevin even brings up there are some fucking Rick and Morty episodes that if I watch in the wrong, in a downturned mood, can break me. One of them is the one with the conjoined planet.
Oh, yeah.
The Infinity Planet. Because at the end, it's so depressing. Like, he's so alone.
Yep.
And there's a couple of those like that where you see the...
Like the divorce one, I think.
Yeah, that's dark, but that's not quite the
sad.
same.
It
It's
like
not... No,
it's
I mean
the
like...
music or something.
Pathos sad is
Yeah.
the one with the planet.
Oh, yeah.
The conjoined
that's
planet
just-
with
yeah.
the girlfriend and all that. I mean, he literally like creates life and then snuffs it out to see
Right.
if he can feel.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked up. What a show! Hey, you can check it out. It's real heartwarming and fun. No, but, so next week,
Yep.
our next episode that drops, that'll be episode 414 with Phil Hendry.
Right.
And we got some other stuff coming up. We got Stacy Pressman,
right,
who we
Stacey
interviewed the other day, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun.
She's awesome. We got like 2 hours with her, so I got to chop
Yeah.
that up.
Is it
without
really
doubt.
2 hours? It didn't seem that long.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And there's a lot of chat.
Yeah.
That just
Well, that's all right.
is a little inside baseball. There's also a
Yeah.
little just stuff we should just cut just
Yeah.
for
So you
for
just have to
time
add
and-
it a little bit more.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed having her on.
I did
And
too.
she recently ran into Brian O'Halloran,
I
who we didn't
know,
get to talk to
didn't-
tonight.
Yeah,
Damn
we
it.
didn't get to. It's all right.
Oh, well.
But, speaking of Brian O'Halloran, they are doing a roast for Brian O'Halloran September 6th.
Yes, we plan on attending as of now.
Yes.
Yet another Askewniverse thing. Yeah, it's a lot of Askewniverse people will be there to basically roast Brian O'Halloran's nuts. And if you want to get an idea of what his retort will be like, I'll be posting that later on today. Or later on tomorrow,
Yes,
actually
and we'll
Monday.
put some information up on to check out where
Yes.
it is.
All right. Well, again, check us out on thatmanonfatman.podbean.com for all your Thatman on Fatman needs. All right, I got to wrap this up. We're
That
done.
man on Fat Man needs.
You know what, folks? You don't hear it enough. You are 100% smart and good.
Yes.
Just for listening to this show. And because I got to get out of here because I can't even fucking talk anymore. I'm completely...
I'm the one who usually does that.
I'm cray-cray. So...
Cray in the cray.
Yes, you're smart and good.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll close like
Please
this.
join me in a final prayer. Yoga Fett, 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 and sorry not sorry. Confetti finger.
You're smart and good, folks. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Phil Henry, Principal Vagina. Next time. And thank you again to Scott Koblish.
Lying on the barren floor and staring out in space, looking for an angel smile and praying for some faith. Thoughts are drifting through my mind and filling it with fear. Is there something else out there, and just why are we here? Then I see the world will turn and we must be its guide. Crazy dreams and nonsense schemes, dawn comes we must reply. Powers from our mother earth, they'll blow us to our knees. While our souls combined as one, come join us if you please, if you please. Reading moments one by one and smirking like a thief. Sleeping through another night and deepening our peace. Genesis and matter's wake is coming from our sun. Living in this very moment, for this moment's done. But now I see the dawn will come, and we are all its guide. Crazy dreams and nonsense schemes, the Godhead in the skies. Powers from our Mother Earth is all we'll ever be. All our souls to bind as one. Come join us if you please, if you please. Join another person's eyes, we worship at our shrine. Bursting flowers into bloom, there's no such thing as time. Powers from our Mother Earth will blow us to our knees. Twisting, turning minds are burning, join us if you please. And now I see that I am just beginning its demise. Flashing bits of comic light that vanish from the skies. Powers from our Mother Earth is all we'll ever be. All our souls to bind as one. Come join us if you please. If you please. If you please. If you please.
There he is. It's that man standing over Blood Alley Square, protecting us all.
Let's talk about the ride to the That Cave.
Yeah, the ride to the That Cave was like being in the Batmobile with the rockets shooting out of the back.
So Scott Holden drives like a bat out of motherfucking hell.
God damn.
It is crazy.
Dude, it was like Batman with the Duke boys.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's doing like 100 through the curves and
like mountain town.
And we're in a
dude.
fucking minivan, like you know, and
through the country.
I don't think there was a point in this ride where the gas pedal wasn't against the metal on the floor.
I'm sure it was hot by the time you got back.
I just heard the poor little engine just like, whoa, whoa.
Like, now.
Damn, dude.
And his son is sitting in the front just like, doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, he's just eating like a little lollipop. Oh, nothing weird here.
I'm just looking around.
He must drive that way all the time, dude.
Man, if you went out to Scott Holden's van right now, you would see fucking like fingernail prints in the side of the seat.
Like Matt's fingerprints are forever stuck in that van forever.
Yeah, dude.
Like
I was just thinking, is this the end? Is this it?
Is this how it all
That's how it goes.
I can't tell you how many times the "is this how it all ends" line went through my head that entire trip.
Yeah, there was a lot of moments where it could have been the
plane
end.
takes off. Is this how it ends? Plane land, is this how it ends? That tiny ass baggage claim. Is this how it ends?
But
you got 2 quarters.
Yeah.
Is this how it ends?
So we hang out at the Bat Cave for a while. We don't have much time at this point. You know, like we're saying, we're on a tight schedule. So
Go get him, that man.